Today is August 6th, 2023. I went to church today after skipping for about 3 weeks. Um, Lately, I've been very, very tired and I've been getting a lot of sleep. And my trading has definitely changed. Um, and so I'm building upon consistency based on small amount of gain with uh, stop losses. That is the idea. And so before, what would happen is that I would make consistent money for quite a while, even a week and a half or 2 weeks, I would make money. And then what I would do is place the whole thing uh, and the gains that I have, even with my capital, and then one day the stock would move against me, and I would essentially lose 60% of the account. That's because I never had a stop loss. Now, if I had a stop loss back then, that means that I would have made 10 days of gains and 1 day of loss, which meant that even if my stop loss was equal to the average gains that I had for the past 10 days, the account would still be of a significant amount. That is something that I've changed in this uh, series of trading. Now, I thought to myself, maybe I should purchase a FTMO challenge again and see how far I can get. But right now, my FTMO demo account is demonstrating that I still need to do some work. And so I will avoid spending the money to purchase an FTMO a challenge. That FTMO challenge, although it changes a bit, it is waiting. So, one thing at a time. When I was back about 7 years ago, when I was an engineer, and I heard the statement that was made, and that statement was, make small amount of small incremental changes in order to become good at something. I've been washing dishes for almost 2 years now. It's practically 2 years, and had I washed dishes like the way that I wash today these days, when I first started, it would have been messy because I would not have made improvements in my dishwashing skills. But now that I am fairly good at getting things done real fast and still maintain the quality, the difference is night and day. And that night and day was only achieved by incremental progress. There's even books about atomic habits, right? Atomic meaning very small, incremental little progression of movements. If I were to be a bodybuilder and I massed up in one day, that would be awkward, and most likely some sort of substance will be used in order to change such a in an instant. So now that I'm at a point where I am looking at this perspective from reflecting upon the YouTube videos that I've seen, and these YouTube videos that I've invested my time in are essentially didn't make any sense in the past, but now it is starting to come together. These are things that were stated by professional day traders who each of them had specific lessons that were they spoke, and now those are essentially being made sense because I had to spend time in order to understand what they're talking about. And one of the things that one professional day trader talked about was this. Apparently, initially, uh, he started to make a little bit of money. And every month, he would take a little bit out to pay for the phone bills, pay for this, and pay for that. And then, after a while, he started to realize that it's actually like a half of a rent. Okay, it's lower. He's talking about paying after a month. He's talking about like it's essentially a rent mortgage payment. And then he started to improve, and then it started to become more. Now, when those things are added together, uh, good things results. And that's how incremental progress and consistency is achieved, based on making consistency based on a small amount of money. And then as time progresses, he increased his capital and then started to take on that same consistency and make even more and be able to afford more things based on his day trading income. That is something that I'm starting to see now as I gain traction in my consistency towards becoming profitable. Now that I'm at that point, I am reminded of a Catholic deacon who said that he made approximately, I think he said something about he made 30 things that he wanted to achieve once his house burned down. I think that's what it is. So, I mean, he's a family with two kids, and his house burned down. And so apparently he made a list of 31 things, and only one did not come true. Okay, I'm not sure, I don't recollect what that was. And that statement is firmly planted in my mind. And um, what I see, what I see on the list that he's made 30 things that he wanted to achieve. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought to myself, I don't want a 31 things or 30 things to come true. And he said one thing didn't come true. What I want is that one thing to come true. I'm going to go for that one thing. And that one thing, for me, personally, worthwhile in this life, I'm not, I'm not, I can assure, I can assure, I can be certain to the fact that despite, although I am moving towards being a consistently faithful Catholic parishioner, I will most likely never become more than that. I have a firm grasp. I am, what is that, 54 years old now? I'm 54. The When I look at the news, I see a lot of these 50-year-old people just dropping off. They are now, I mean, even famous people are just dropping off at the age of 55, 56. They're gone. They've left Earth. So I don't have much time, and so I'm going to concentrate on this one thing, and I'm going to strive for it. I'm going to, because it is something that is worthwhile to my life, to my existence. I truly don't know why my kids. Here's why I think my kids left. I gave a house to my ex-wife. And then when I was convicted of a felony, I lost my job in Florida. Then I moved here in a car, and I asked them, their mother, to see if I can stay in the shed for a while until I can get back up. And what seems to happen was that she moved somewhere else. I don't know where she is now. And then my kids were living in a house, probably on a deficit because the mortgage payments were there. And despite the fact that they were going to Boise State University and they're making a bit of money, they were unable to pay the mortgage at that time. And so what they ended up doing is selling the house as quickly as possible after their graduation, so that they could take themselves off of the obligation of the mortgage. But there was a small amount of of money that came out of uh, that sale. And so I'm thinking I'm thinking what they did was they knew they were going to sell, and that's why uh, they wanted to keep it a secret as long as possible. And then after they sold, they just left. It's not because they're maybe it is because their father's been convicted of a felony for grand theft, um, and there's no future prospects to live by. Maybe that's the reason why. I'm not, but I think the primary reason was that they felt some sort of an obligation that they did not obligation of holding on to that a sale of the house, the proceeds, and they just left. And because of that single instance, and they know that I was living in a homeless shelter, they just left, and believing that at my age there was no way for me to recover from this affliction. So, a Catholic deacon who is um, a genius to my standard could not achieve that, whatever that one thing was. But for me, I have a different way of living life. And that different way of living life is to achieve something that is the most important thing in my life. And that most important thing in my life is to regain the connection that I have with my children. And I will strive to do that. And striving to do that is is figuring out a way for me to make money from day trading. I'm just reviewing Albrook's trading course, and he says this. He says it with zero attachment whatsoever. He says this. He says trading is about taking money from smart people, and that's where the fun is. That's what he says on one of his trading course videos. He says that inherently means that it's going to be very difficult for me. But that goes hand in hand with my recovery, and my recovery with relationship with my own children. How can I expect to reestablish myself with my own children who just graduated, and they're it's been over, now it's going to be a year and 3 months now. I think it's about a year and 3 months since I've actually had any type of communication with my children. So I have to demonstrate to my children that I have financially recovered. Once I demonstrate to the world that I have financially recovered by demonstrating the consistency in my day trading, then the relationship will thaw and become better and move in the right direction for the remainder of the years that I have to look forward to in my existence here on earth. So my shelf life is going to expire, just like that milk that's in the communal refrigerator. It's going to expire in a few days, and I have an expiration date. And I've been seeing a lot of movies where vampires live for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And sure, you can live for thousands and thousands of years, but when the sun comes out after millions of years, when the sun becomes large and then just erases earth, singes earth, whatever longevity that has kept itself alive will burn. And someplace, somewhere, God will create another heaven and earth, and He will rest on the seventh day. And that's how things will be. So if I were to make a list of things that I truly want, that I know what I want, I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I know the single most important thing in my life. That single most important thing in my life that I have been observing for now, aside from every other things that I have in my life, if I were to make a list, my list would be very short. My list is regaining what I have lost with my children. Once I achieve that, then the world will know. Whoever walks next to me, whoever interacts with me, whoever sees me, that whoever that individual is will know that I have achieved the thing that I set out to achieve, and the thing that I have set out for the rest of my life. Something that I have said to myself, this is what I'm going to do, even if it takes the rest of my life. All for the purpose of regaining my relationship with my children. That is a path that I've chosen, and that is one item on my list